Hello everyone, Team Ojama here, and now, you know what time it is? It is ban list discussion time. Ooh.
This was actually released, like, this morning, right?
Yeah, it was released this morning when I was at work, and at first I thought it was fake, because I usually don't get ban lists that early, especially here, because I was like, I saw it around like 9 o'clock this morning, and I was just like, oh, usually you don't get them that early.
Well, in particular, I was very, conscientious about it because we are getting Soul Fusion
Special edition, yeah.
next week. So it's like
this
why would it come out now? You know?
But yeah, let's discuss the very minuscule changes to the list.
Minuscule in the ban
In
list.
the ban list, yes.
Itself. Alright, so forbidden now for one, Firewall Dragon.
The Ding Dong Witch is dead. Like, everyone was celebrating when this happened. And it made my work day because I was just happy just because now the FDKs are now done because now Firewall Dragon's gone.
I was exclaiming to one of my friends who plays Yu-Gi-Oh! I was like, people, you are free.
And that's kind of how it feels. It's that this was a well done hit. Everyone was kind of shocked. I myself personally am very shocked that I got hit because everyone was being like, oh, that's plot armor, oh, rights issue, that's why it's not getting a hit.
There's a lot of actually that kind of conspiracy going on.
Yeah.
There's actually interesting discussion, so to speak. Like, oh, there was rights issues with like the artists, you know, oh, it's a main character card, so it obviously can't be hit. But I think with this ban, it does show that, hey, not everything is, you know, invincible.
Exactly, and it just also kind of shows that Konami is actually listening and aware of these problems. It's just sometimes where it's like, oh, come money, they just wanted money kind of thing. Which, like, I get, it's kind of frustrating. I'm one of those people from time to time. But I mean, this list as a whole is kind of like being like, hey guys, we're sorry, like, here's a fix to this format.
Well, is it really a fix? Because you gotta admit that when they posted, you know, when this ban list is going to come out, it's oddly convenient.
Well, and that's what I wanted to bring up after, like, I guess we can bring it up now. It's like, this doesn't really feel like a complete list, so to speak. It feels more of like a emergency ban list, and just dealing with this hit before YCS Milan. Because at YCS Pasadena, I mean, there weren't as many FTKs, but the Dark Engine was rampant, and Firewall was rampant. And people were main decking, but one of the top decks were main decking cherries just to stop Firewall.
Exactly.
And if people have to do that, it's screaming as like this is a problem. So I kind of think that was probably some reason why that happened. On top of that,
Yeah, I honestly feel it was very calculated, but yeah, you're right. We could get deeper into that once we finish this.
Yeah,
ban
of
list.
course.
So that's it for the bans. That's it for bans. All right. Next up is Armageddon Night Limited.
That needed to go for multiple reasons. Like looping with Firewall was one thing, and then it also not being a hard once per turn is also a big problem.
It doesn't even have once per turn. It's
just
whenever
it's summoned, it keeps going. So normal or special, you just keep going, which because normal summon, send malicious, and make us old, do the same thing again. And that's kind of the main issue people running into. It's like, oh, I get all these pluses and all these free resources from one card, and it led to like a 1-card FTK or a 1-card extra link, which was pretty unfair, to say the least.
I mean, like, out of all the knights, the elemental knights that they had, Armageddon Knight was always the one that was kind of on everybody's radar in terms of its usefulness. Being able to basically Foolish Burial any dark monster, and you know how dark monsters occur in graveyards and all kind of stuff. When it comes to the current meta, being able to put stuff into the graveyard, especially now with links being a thing, and like interactions with other cards like Malicious or actually there's a lot of zombie.
Like Mizuki, especially because there was a zombie extra link deck that came out that does the same stuff, and it's just bring back all the links and just keep going.
And there's also even with the new zombie deck, the one that
Dreadmaster,
that just keeps coming back. You know, being able to do that, it has huge advantage, and there's a reason why that Foolish Burial, the card itself is limited. So yeah, this was a necessary hit. One I'm really glad that they did because it does put limitations on how far dark decks can go, especially with a plethora of other dark decks that come out, like Danger and all that kind of stuff. You know?
And that is it for the limited. So let's go to the semi-limited.
Oh my god. Semi-limited. Destiny Hero Malicious.
Everyone was screaming for this to happen, and everyone kind of had a feeling this was going to happen eventually with Malicious, because Malicious is always one of those cards when a new summoning mechanic comes in, especially something that's very similar to Synchros or easier than Synchros, which is linking or link summoning. It just screams that someone's going to abuse it eventually, and that's what Malicious did. It's very easily abusable in most decks that use link spam. I mean, you had Goki's using it, you had Danger FTK, some versions of it playing Dark Warrior decks using it. Even Burning Abyss was using it in their decks just to make Beatrice, or just link laddering up.
Anything like that's kind of like, it falls under the line of Armageddon Knight, really, because the card itself is really old. And back then, being able to utilize it more than once per turn, that was, back then that was not a big thing, because, once you bring out another Malicious, what are you going to do with it? It's just sitting there. But as new mechanics come out, the requirements of monsters go up, and that's where cards like Malicious really shine. So, yeah, I think putting it to 2 is a really good number, because the thing is that in itself, if you open one, then the other one in your deck is basically useless, So it's like, or if you have to just draw both copies, it's like you can't even use it then at that point. So exactly, and that's it for
That's it for semi-limited. Now let's go off the list.
Oddly enough, the same number of cards that were just put onto it. First one is A Assault Core.
That just screams Konami saying, "We're sorry, ABC players. We know this was an FTK, but we weren't aware of the other one. So here's your A Assault Core back, so you can play your ABCs."
I am really happy that they did that, because the thing is that ABC as a deck was always a very prominent deck, and it's always had its on and off place on Rogue, realistically.
Well, yeah, it's always either been like on Rogue status or maybe on one of the lower tiers. I mean, I actually like the deck personally. I mean, I'm actually happy that they actually have their pieces back to see what they actually can do. So it'll be interesting to see what happens from here.
Well, as long as, because you can't A, B, and C to a firewall.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. At least we got A back.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. Now, second, Cosmo Dark Destroyer, back at 3.
Cosmo Dark Destroyer back at 3. That means Cosmo's back at full power. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what people do with it. With Thunder Dragons around, I don't think it's going to be doing too much. I mean, it'll be maybe decent against Sky Striker or Altergeist maybe. But besides that, I mean, the deck... I think the deck aged well. It's just there's a lot of counters to the deck now, unfortunately, which kind of hinder it.
Well, working it as a pure deck, it's hindered by too many gates within its own restrictions, such as the archetype in itself cannot special summon more than itself. Like you have to basically lose your field advantage in order to special summon the stronger monsters. You don't actually get more pieces than you get, which, if in the future they do decide to print more Cosmo monsters or cards, that's what they really need, is to be able to bring out more psychic Cosmo monsters in order to utilize more special summoning. But Dark Destroyer at 3, it's a really good change for, not just for pure Cosmo decks, but also for other engines that want to utilize it. I personally play a lot of True Draco Cosmo myself, and having Dark Destroyer at 3 adds a lot more consistency to it, and it adds much more power to the deck as well. As Ojama Black has said, though, Thunder Dragons, it doesn't do anything, so...
Yeah, I mean, your best board in that deck is just big Calamity, which is enough, but I mean, there's just so many hand traps nowadays. And if you Ash the right thing in that deck, it just kind of stops the entire combo.
Actually, there's a lot of people feel like they don't know when to Ash against Cosmo, and I'm like, just Ash the ship.
Ash the ships.
Ash the ships. That's
Ash
all you
any
need
of the
to do.
ships, and you're fine. And if you don't have an extender, you're fine.
Pretty much. All right. Last card to come off the ban list is Called by the Grave.
And that was very fast as well. I mean...
Yep.
I mean, a lot of people have mixed feelings about Called by Grave. I personally think it's needed, but also it's very format dependent. That's kind of the point that I think a lot of people kind of miss, is that I get that Called by Grave right now is a very powerful card, especially with a lot of combo decks around, because a lot of the Dark Warrior decks that turn out the 86, 84, something like that. Yeah, Called by Grave in that deck is extremely powerful because you just stop their one disruption that would stop you from making that. But let's say that deck doesn't exist. I mean, that card would be good against certain decks, like maybe random Altergeist matchup, or maybe a random Warrior deck you run into, or Burning Abyss, but or against a random hand trap if you're worried about getting hand trapped. But I mean, besides that, I think it's pretty fair as a card to say the least.
It's a very smart card. You have to use it wisely. And as you said, it's really format dependent. Like, in Thunder Dragons, it's not as good to utilize it because, like, chances are, they're only sending one and another. You don't have the option to use Call by the Grave at the right time that you want to. And you banish it. It's like, okay.
And then you have resources maybe next turn for Hawk to bring back.
Yeah, exactly. So it really doesn't aid you much there. So as decks utilize less of the graveyard and more of other mechanics, then yeah, Called by Grave is just one of those cards that kind of shifts back and forth, like Ogre does or Effect Veiler does. It's really does different things against certain decks, but does nothing against other decks as well. So I'm happy it's back at 3. I was very surprised. Personally, I did not think it would come back to 3 this soon, at least in particular. But I think Konami is addressing that, hey, it's like we realized that combos needed to be broken in some way or fashion, and Called by the Grave is a good way to do that. And also Called by the Grave is
good for combo decks as well, but I mean, that's the thing. It's like this list isn't perfect, so to speak. I mean, there are still glaring issues that need to be addressed, but the main problem, which is Firewall Dragon looping and extra linking and FTKing, is not addressed.
Yeah.
But the Gumblar hand looping has not been addressed. Which there's still combos that can do 2-card or 1-card combos with Connector anyway to do like a 4-card, taking out everything, which is a problem, but I think without Firewall and with Armageddon Night at 1, it does hinder it a little bit. Which, I mean, that's the thing. We're supposed to get another list in like late January, like January 21st, I believe.
Yes.
That's like the next I know Snare Van.
No sooner than
Yeah, so I mean, I think that more of anything, again, this is just a emergency list more of anything from how it's done. It's not very stuff came off the list. It's very like when 1 card got banned, 1 card got limited, and then 1 semi-limit, and then 3 got off. So I mean, it's not very much.
It's not very much, but in itself, it's oddly calculated, I would say, definitely.
Yes.
Because when I was discussing this with Ojama Black, and maybe it's a discussion that we'll bring into the future, was that Konami put this, like, when they said no sooner than November of this date, I said, that's only like 2 months away when they first brought out the other list. And I was like, that's really soon. That's not very TCG-like at all.
You usually wait 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, I know, right?
Format.
And then suddenly, FTKs were roaming around due to Firewall. And I feel this was very calculated in a way that Konami understood that the Firewall looping thing will be a problem, but I didn't think they knew exactly how much the players will take advantage of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Until FTK started becoming a thing. Because, Konami is generally good at one thing, is that when FTKs come rolling around, they shut it down immediately.
Usually.
Yeah. But, anyway. Yeah, so they were kind of looking at it and saying, well, we'll give this a little bit of time to seed and where does it grow. I believe that if the player base, the pro players were utilizing just extra linking, that they would actually not have banned Firewall.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because extra linking is one thing, but just not being able to play the game at all with FTKs, yeah, not on Konami's agenda. Yeah, so personally, I think this was a planned emergency ban list, and technically the real ban list doesn't come out until the January 21st.
I agree. I think you're trying to wait to see how the format develops, because, I mean, as of right now, I mean, let's think about it. If you really hit Sky Strikers right now, Thunder Dragon, or like even Altergeist right now, like Thunder Dragons would be relatively the best deck, and that's the thing. It's like if you hit Widowmaker, for example, to like 1, then Sky Strikers is deeply hindered by trying to stop Thunder Dragons, and that was like your main counters to that deck, or at least one of them anyway. And I mean, that would be kind of unfair, so I think they're kind of waiting until January to like see how the format develops and then start hitting on the major decks and maybe do like maybe a soft reset on things.
We'll see. Like
We'll see.
the next set comes out
Sneak peek is at the end of January.
at the end of January.
Yeah.
So basically, they're coming out, or if it comes out on time, it'll come out like right.
Around the same time as the set is legal.
Yeah. So I think like they put it at this date, but then it'll definitely be held off for a little while because they want to see how the format develops with the new set that drops.
And then maybe depending on what comes out in Savage Strike, because we don't know what's in that yet for TCG or like OCG imports.
Yeah, OCG imports,
TCG exclusives.
TCG exclusives, and of course Dangers, of course.
Well, because we don't know if we're even getting Danger stuff, because we know we're getting Valkyries, we just don't know what the other thing is going to be.
That's very
So
true,
it'll be
actually.
interesting to see what we get, if it's going to be Noble Knights or if it's going to be Danger, depending on what we get in the future.
It's Noble Knights.
Yeah, Noble Knights just need another link, to say the least.
Well, that'll be it, pretty much. Guys, please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us in the comments below what you guys think about the new ban list. Stay tuned, though, because the fun is just getting started.